Hello and welcome to Assetto Corsa. Now, this weekend, at the time of recording, Formula 1 is going to the Bahrain International Circuit for not one but two races. And this circuit, designed by Herman Tilke, hasn't always been my favourite track. In fact, it never was or is my favourite track on the F1 calendar. I always find it just to be a bit boring, both to watch and kind of to drive as well. It's just the corners I find a bit boring. This could be to do with the fact that the F1 cars are just difficult to pass in. They create a lot of turbulent air and can't really follow each other too much. So I thought I would solve this issue by racing with a field full of these. This is the Fiat Panda 900, called the 900 because it has 900cc, just 40 horsepower, can get to 60 miles an hour in just 19.5 seconds. Weighs only 700 kilograms and was designed by Giugiaro, who was the same person that designed the Di Tommaso Bangusta and the DeLorean. So surely for a machine with so much heritage and that weighs less than one of the modern Formula 1 cars, surely we can get some great racing at the Bahrain track. So here we are then at the Bahrain track with my Fiat Panda 900cc of 40 horsepower goodness. This is going to absolutely rip my face off with acceleration here. Starting last on the grid of 20 Fiat Pandas, and I'm going to try and see how far up the pack I can make it. Obviously manual gearbox, don't have the flappy paddles in F1, so actually a pretty good launch off the line, didn't get a drive through thanks to starting too early. And just look at that shot there, the camera can barely keep up with them. They must be going about 40, maybe 45 miles an hour there. Anyway, down to turn 1, I already have a car. Pass on my inside, the blue one, and then I go up the inside of two more cars, and then try to go up the inside of two more, but kind of slam into this grey one. Yeah, I kind of was a bit late on the brakes, and the grey one kind of puts me in my place, shoving me nearly off the track, and I have to slightly back out. But still, that's 3 positions up. We're up to 17th. After a couple of corners, run towards turn 4 with 3 wide once again, and I get up the inside of the grey one, hit him once again, but do manage to get past the yellow DHL Panda, and I then run side by side with the grey one towards the S section that I'm not such a big fan of. And you can't really run side by side too well in this in Formula 1, but in this you've got all the space in the world, so I had a go, but he did have the speed to get through it in front of me. But then for the next right-hander, I switched back to the inside and sent one up the inside of the grey Panda, and finally managed to get past after a kind of quarter lap battle with it. However, quite an embarrassing moment for me here. At the double left-hander, he just passes me around the outside once again. Which, yeah, that was quite embarrassing. I was taking it quite tentatively. This was my first lap of 3, as you can see, only doing 3 laps, because 1 lap is like 3 minutes, 3 and a bit minutes in this car around here. And yeah, he just passed me around the outside because I was taking it very cautiously. However, here I get him back as I go around the outside of him, but also up the inside of this green Fiat Panda on the exit. That's already up to 14th within 1 lap. And get a pretty good run around here and try and have a go at the red Panda as well down to the final corner. The AI, something I did notice is the AI didn't really like taking the apexes that well, the racing line, as we get past this kind of cream beige one on the outside that got a turbo run, and then up the inside of the red one into the final corner. Yeah, I mean, you can see a few of them sort of touching the apexes every now and again, but I noticed that I could consistently be a lot quicker than most of them around a lot of these corners, and that's 9 positions gained on lap 1 as I'm up to 11th place as we get around the outside of the Polaroid car. However, they come back, and so is the red one. As you can see that I passed at the final corner. He thinks about it but ducks back into line, but the Polaroid car's already got me before we even reach turn 1, and I get the braking quite wrong in this. I'm used to driving sort of race cars on this game, so the braking points and the gear, when to change gear, was kind of confusing to me at this point. As you can see, I get the gears all wrong, can't really have a go into turn 1, but I'm still there, heading to racing down towards turn 4. And I don't really go for the move initially, but as you can see, he just misses the apex by a mile, and I get the position quite nicely there, so that's 11th place, getting back. It is important though not to make mistakes like that, because as you might be able to tell, it's all about momentum with this car, because it's just got no power whatsoever. So if you make mistakes like going wide or going off into the sand or something, you lose so much momentum, and then you're at risk of losing positions. We try and go around the outside of this grey Panda. He gets me back on the inside, but doesn't really have good acceleration on the way out. I make sure not to make the same mistake as I did last lap and not get past around the outside there. Really just parking it on the apex as well as I could, and actually getting a pretty good run on these guys up ahead. And this corner, this was another corner I noticed I was pretty good at, getting a good run through the apex and then up into 9th place. And I think about pulling alongside this black one, but the red one also thinks about pulling alongside me, and we go 3 wide for must be about the 8th time this race already, and running on lap 2, and the red one gets the both of us. I believe he made up 2 positions in one corner. This was a bit ambitious, slamming into the side of the red one, thinking I could carry the speed through. I sort of actually lost the back end going into the corner. On the skinny tyres this thing's got, it's not exactly grippy, but it is difficult to actually slide it, as you could imagine. It doesn't really have the power that you need to get it sideways, but that's a nice move up into the final corner, and we're into 8th place as we go into the final lap of the race. And by turn 1 I couldn't quite catch the pack ahead because I didn't have quite a good enough run, and there was quite a big space. Sorry if I'm saying quite a lot, I've just noticed that. Maybe having like a quite counter or something in the corner. Anyway, turn 4, get a good exit. Certainly compared to this grey Panda that is another one of the AIs that missed that inside apex by about 3 miles, so he got a terrible run, but he does come back at me as we head into the downhill S's, running side by side quite easily with this guy. Again, loads of space in these tiny little cars, but he does manage to hit me on the exit somehow, even with all that room that I gave him. And then up the inside into this corner here, I think about a move on the white Panda as well, but that's a bit too ambitious I think at this point, but I'm clearly ahead of the greyish one. And then double left-hander, I couldn't do anything, as you can see, still behind. And then this corner, again, it's another one I could just gain. I could gain pretty much just so much time in the corners. I think I had the difficulty set a little bit too low. I wasn't quite sure where to set it, but as you can see, getting past that white Panda fairly easily, but he does come back as he's got a decent run on the outside of the corner, getting a bit of a twitch halfway through it. So we're keeping it around the outside. Got to be careful because there's a red car right in front of us, so we could both lose time if we get in the way of that, but thankfully I think I've got the position there. I managed to send up the inside of the red one into the final corner, so I get a good enough run to pass them both, and by the end of the race that is 5th. So don't mind the top left saying that it was 6th. It was indeed 5th place that we got in the end of all that, so pretty entertaining. I eventually managed to fight my way up to 5th, and I think given a couple more laps that could well have been a podium. Anyway, on to race 2. So here we are then for the second and final race in this video, starting from last once again. I've made a couple of changes for this. One, I've set the time of day, as you might be able to see, to the latest it can be in Assetto Corsa, so this is more kind of sunset-ish, so it looks a bit more authentic. I couldn't quite get nighttime. I believe there's a nighttime mod, but I don't have it. And also I've upped the difficulty a bit, although we go 4 wide into turn 1, and I get all 3 of those positions pretty successfully, and I think I might have been able to get another one had this red car, or had I not crashed into this red car, but then he swipes back at this other red car, and that has me up 5 positions after just a couple of corners, and he loses not only himself, but also the pretty much everyone behind him a load of time. As you can see, there's a massive gap already back to 16th, and also one other change I forgot to mention is this is the outer layer of the track that F1 is also going to be running. We've yet to see, at the time of recording, any F1 car drive around here, race around here, so yeah, I decided I would take the Fiat Pandas around here, and that was a bit of an opportunistic move that I tried to go for. I'm not too familiar with this track, so I thought I could send one up the inside there, and I think you probably could, but I sort of threw it over the curb, got on 2 wheels a couple of times and just lost grip, and had to use the red car as a bit of a lean thing to lean on. Anyway, I sent it up the inside of the final corner, a move that I did plenty times in the last race, but this time because of the up difficulty they actually managed to fight back, and he held the position around the outside of that corner this time, so already having more fun with the battles in this race. Wasn't quite able to catch up into the braking zone at turn 1, and I didn't gain back as much time on the exit because they were actually taking the apexes a bit quicker this time. So the next car I've got to overtake is this black Fiat Panda, as the red one I was fighting earlier has managed to get past it after the first couple of corners as we go onto the outer section of the track, and that is a pretty easy overtake to do. It will certainly be interesting to see the Formula 1 cars go around here, because as I say, the race hasn't been on yet at the time of recording. It will either be quite boring, because I'm not sure if there'll be many places to overtake, or it'll be absolutely mad. One of the two. The laps will be under a minute. Certainly in qualifying they'll be under a minute. Now racing towards the final corner for the second time this race, the black Panda on the inside thinks about moving to the right hand side to try and overtake me, but I managed to fend that one off and also get up the inside of the green Panda, and then I'm chasing towards these 2 Pandas at lap number 3. We've got 4 laps in this race as it is a shorter track. The red car, I don't know what he was thinking there, kind of turned in way too early, and I get 2 positions on the exit of it because the black one, or the greyish one, was slightly compromised thanks to the red one, and the red one just tried to cut the course and sort of backed out of it very awkwardly, so that was an 11th place for me, so just 1 place away from the top 10, and that's going to be a fairly easy overtake as the black Polaroid Panda has a pretty awkward run onto the outer loop section of the track, although he is coming back around this long right-hander. Now it's this tricky kind of braking zone for this left-hand corner, and I flick it in way too quickly and bounce across the sand and the curb and then lose that 10th place. Because of that, yeah, just another slide from the Panda. Quite impressive that I actually managed to lose grip in this. This is a really easy car to drive, and the fact that I actually managed to make a mistake and genuinely lose a position from falling off the track is quite impressive, I think. Anyway, I do catch back up to the black Polaroid Panda and try to make a move on it, heading towards turn 4, although he has got a decent run actually, coming out of the first 3 corners, and does go very much defensive on the inside, so I try and brake late and get a move around the outside, which I've done a couple of times already this race. This is quite a nice overtaking manoeuvre in these cars. I do really wonder if F1 cars will be able to overtake there, and then I've got a good enough run to at least pull alongside this sort of greyish Panda here, white Panda, and you would have thought that would have learnt from last lap, trying to make moves up the inside there, but well, I hadn't, as I sent it in with way too much speed and actually slid wide into the white Panda. And here now we're racing towards the final corner on the final lap, and I'm at risk of losing my top 10 position as we've got 2 Pandas behind me challenging for that position, but they fight themselves too much and don't have enough speed coming out the final corner to take me, so that's 10th place in the second race at this quote-unquote oval. I don't get why people are calling it the oval, because it really isn't. It's just, I mean, it's a fast track. It's pretty entertaining actually, certainly these Pandas. Well, it might not be a quick track in these Pandas. As you can see, the lap time was 2 minutes, whereas in a modern Formula 1 car it's closer to about 1 minute. I didn't quite get the fastest lap though. The quickest lap goes to the guy that was behind me. He was about a second quicker, as you can see there. But yeah, as I say, good racing in these Pandas, and yeah, I enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, then please make sure to tell me down in the comments, as this is something different to what I usually do. And if you would like to see more Assetto Corsa videos, then I'd be more than happy to make them, because I've just got so many ideas now that I have started recording on this game. The mod links to the Bahrain track with all its layouts and the Fiat Panda will also be in the description for Assetto Corsa if you want to have a go with them. Thank you very much for watching, but until the next video, goodbye.